Hello, this is the help video for client editing. We'll just go ahead and get started. We're here on the Clients Edit tab. I'm going to pick the client that I want to edit here in my list. There are a number of different sections on here. I'm just going to go through them very quickly to highlight what they are and what they do. At the top is just the real general information, name and description, pretty obvious stuff. This password is the password that is shared with the client configuration file, which is a file that you'll have downloaded onto the machine or the server that you're backing up. So the password can really be anything. It's really only used to authenticate that we're talking to the right client. The client networking box has the address and the port. My address, as you'll see here, by default the address is the same as the client name. If I wanted to, I could edit that and make it the IP address of the machine I'm on. The port by default is 9102, and we'll recommend almost never changing that. The one exemption from that might be if I were backing up an Exchange server and I needed to have two agents running on the same machine, then I would have those two agents running over a different port. This email notifications box was generally meant if you want to notify the actual user of this computer that whether or not their backups are being successful or not. So for the most part, I'm going to say let's leave this blank. There are other locations where you can get, as an administrator, where you can get system notifications. If I go down a little bit, I have the backup section where we have schedule, priority, and file set. If I click on the schedule, I have a drop down and there's the default schedules. We're going to take a little detour here and click on the schedules tab just to give you an idea of what the default schedules mean. So we have a monthly, daily, quarterly, and weekly. Just to review, the monthly schedule says that on the first Sunday of every month, I'm going to do a full backup. We're going to run a differential backup on all subsequent Sundays throughout the month, and then I'm going to run an incremental backup on kind of the normal weekdays or Monday through Saturday at 2 o'clock in the morning. So to define what those mean, a full backup is where we capture everything that we've been told to, that we have access to. We're just going to run and back up everything. A differential backup is a backup of anything that has changed since the last full backup, and an incremental backup is anything that has changed since the last backup, period. Sometimes it may be helpful to think of a differential backup as the cumulative changes since last full, and the incremental backup as the daily changes, maybe since yesterday or since the last backup ever. By far, our most popular schedules that most customers use are the monthly and the weekly. The weekly, you can see, runs a full backup on Sunday, and then incremental backups through the normal weekdays. Let's jump back to the edits page. I'm going to go ahead in this example and just stick with the monthly. By the way, there will be a different help video where we'll go into detail about those schedules and how to edit them, customize them, or create a new schedule. But for now, let's move on. The default priority on every system will always be 10. It's generally not recommended to change this priority unless you have many dozens of clients or more, and you need to specify certain sets of clients to run before others. The file set. This is a very important section to understand. You can see here there's another drop-down menu. We have some default file sets, but also every new client comes with its own custom file set. I'm going to ignore these for now, and we'll explain those again in a different video. We're just going to edit this custom Sales 004 file set. I click on this little pencil edit button. It opens up the file set editor. We can see my starting directories and files, and by default every Windows system just backs up the C drive. We can edit that by clicking on the Edit button, and I put my cursor up here. Let's say I also want to back up my D drive. I would just type in D:/, and now the D drive will be included in my backup. If I needed to get more specific, maybe for some reason all I want to back up is my program files or whatever path, then I would just enter in the path here in this box. I'm going to mostly ignore these sections. There's a few other things here that you might consider enabling or changing. This is where you might come in and turn on compression. But for the most part, I'm going to recommend that you just leave the options as they are. But I will show you what this new button does. Let's say I wanted to add an exclusion or a specific inclusion. This is how I do it. I click on New, and you'll see a Matcher 1. If I were to click on New again, I would get down here Matcher 2. For a really simple example, I'm going to show you how to exclude a .mp3 file. So I'll click on Exclude. You'll see I can also toggle between case sensitive and case insensitive, or ignore case. Then I'm going to go ahead and just click on the Add drop down. You can use a number of different regular expressions or wildcard characters to find what to define your exclusion. I'm just going to go ahead and click on Wild File. Creates this new box. I'm going to type in a star.mp3 and then click on OK. So now, when a backup runs, it's going to traverse through the C drive program files and the D drive, and anytime it encounters any file that ends with a .mp3, it will exclude that file from the backup. So that way I'm not backing up any of my users that might have a whole bunch of stuff that I don't need to store on my RAID array here. I'm going to go ahead and just click on OK, and then OK again. So we've now edited the file set.